the Manufacturing Millennial, and Chris Luecke, who is the host of Manufacturing Happy Hour. So please, give these guys a warm welcome, and I'm really excited to hear what they have to say. So, thank you. Here for the lunchtime slot. I'm glad the food trucks are right out doors, so you can bring that in and enjoy a meal as you watch us, or have something to look forward to when the talk's done. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this conversation with you guys today is I'm super passionate about my manufacturing has just been splitting my life growing up the entire time. And Chris Luecke and I were going to be having a radical conversation. We want to talk about the problems that we're seeing in the industry and ways that we see them being solved through automation, through technology, and really just how do we get the younger generation of millennials and Gen Zs passionate about the industry. Myself, I've been in the industry for 10, 15 years, been in manufacturing, have an engineering degree in manufacturing, and really I've been able to help a lot of systems integrators and manufacturers automate with new technology. I'm going to introduce you on LinkedIn because every day he releases a how it's made style video showing different content of anything from an automotive plant to robotics, the latest in AI technology. So he is all over LinkedIn. Make sure you're following this individual there. Okay, with Manufacturing Happy Hour, and if you want to open up a beer and listen to the conversation, he has a bunch of industry influencers and leaders talking about the industry. And there will be a couple opportunities in the US to enjoy a beer with us and talk manufacturing in that fashion. Absolutely, and we'll talk to you a little about that in a bit. So, what we're here today, I think it's a really important discussion in the industry right now. We're going to be facing this massive labor shortage. What we call the tsunami of the older generation is retiring. They're exiting the workforce, and the labor exiting is all the knowledge that they've acquired for the last 10, 15, 20 years is living with them as well. So we have all these jobs living, and we have all these new jobs opening with natural growth. We're going to be seeing a massive deficit. We're going to put 2.4 million jobs are going to be unfulfilled in the next 5 years in the manufacturing industry. It's a massive number. You don't have to have a detailed presentation or what you're talking about. It's a large matter. It's a matter of national security. If we can produce product and manufacture products here in America, what's going to be happening in the future of our economic growth and all sorts of security? So the numbers, let's talk a little bit about manufacturing's branding issue, if you will. You're going to hear people talk about the three D's nonstop throughout this event, right? Now the fourth D as well, which might be the most important one, which is there's a perception that manufacturing is dull. But let's start at the top, right? Now I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story of how I see this be the exact opposite throughout my career in manufacturing. So I mentioned that there's a branding issue. People think that manufacturing is dirty and dark. Well, when I first started my career inside an aluminum can making plant, that was the exact opposite. Bright, clean facility. In terms of dangerous, right? I'm going to go back to that example. The first project I ever worked on was how do we make manufacturing safer? The reality is, every time we come out with new technology, safety is in the forefront. So there's another area where we're getting rid of that misperception. But I think one of the most important ones to talk about in terms of, hey, how do we attract people so that we can make this 2.4 million job shortage number smaller is how do we make manufacturing exciting, right? The reality is I saw this when I was living out in the Bay Area. There's a lot more overlap in the Venn diagram between manufacturing and tech now, right? Like 10 years ago, everyone was really excited to work at Facebook and Google, the Ubers of the world, and that's still the case today, right? But the reality is, you look at these electric vehicle companies that have brought all this, like, let's say, move fast and break things tech mentality in the manufacturing world now. We're seeing things get more exciting in the manufacturing space through this shift of going from physical to digital, right? A lot of the tools we use in manufacturing now our smartphones or tablets that are on the plant floor or things that are even on the plant floor. You could be doing your job remotely because of all the technology that's available. So there's a lot of cool things going to manufacturing right now. You're going to see them out on the show floor all week. Like, you just look around, there's a robot moving in every different direction. But what we need to do is make sure that story is being told in a way that allows companies to attract new workers, attract the next generation, and attract people to their businesses. Yeah, absolutely. When we all graduated from high school, we met with our guidance counselor and said, where do you want to go after you graduate from high school? Manufacturing was never one of those topics that were brought to say, oh, you're graduating, well, go get a 4-year degree, go into this, go into computer science, go into, services or information. It was never a topic around manufacturing. In fact, when you look at the statistics, 8 out of 10 parents in America believe that manufacturing is critical to the U.S. economy and to our infrastructure. Yet when they ask, would you send your kid into manufacturing or would you encourage them to go in the industry? Only 3 out of 10 actually said, yeah, that's where I want my kids to be involved. So there's this massive discrepancy between what we believe our training should be, but they're saying our kids shouldn't be in the industry because of the myths that are out there. So, what manufacturing, what does the future employee look like? We know what our current generation looks like. Well, the average person in manufacturing right now is between 50 and 55 years old. They tend to come from one type of demographic, but they also come with a lot of old skill sets and how they learned. They weren't digitally grown in the way of what manufacturing is. Now, manufacturing is moving from just this physical product to a digital process and a digital solution. So, how can your future employees, a lot of times, what's their ability to be cross-trained as manufacturing develops in a state where we're not just making the same products over and over and over again, we're seeing a lot of variability components. How do they have the ability to learn and adapt to new manufacturing systems? What is their interest in using in technology? I think as manufacturing moves to more of this digital state, do they have the ability to communicate and to work alongside a lot of this new technology? If it's the apps that Chris talked about, on your phone, if it's robotics, if it's a vision system, if it's some AI software that's beginning to develop a process for you automatically, does your future employee have those skill sets? Do they have the ability to communicate in a strong way? And I'm not just talking about communication, but just verbal. How do they learn to use new services and where we have Discord and Slack and Teams? I think when we all went through the pandemic phase, 2 years ago, no one was using a lot of these chat functions. And it was just, all these meetings, but now how many people use Teams or Google Meet or Slack as part of their daily conversation now to have the ability to use those communication skills? I remember when I came on once before the pandemic, and it was like a light flipped on March 17th, 2020. All of a sudden, like, that was the way business was done at that point. It was put out for 5.5 weeks on webcams. You could not get a webcam for 5.5 weeks on Amazon at one point. Because everyone was buying it because no one used that type of technology before. I think that's this idea as well is, do your future employee have attention to detail? Do they have the ability to look at something, understand, and act on it? And this is what we want our future employee to look like. I think these are all skill sets that we believe they need. Now, how are you going to empower your future employee to use these skills? I think one of the things that is a problem with our future employees are millennials and Gen Zs. In fact, right now, when you look at the industry, the millennials are the largest working skill force right now in America and also globally. In fact, 37% of millennials currently make up our entire manufacturing workforce. Yet when you look at the manufacturing industry, millennials represent one of the smallest generations in the industry. The reason is, millennials are the biggest working out there, yet they're the most underrepresented in the manufacturing space. So how do we see millennials and Gen Zs connecting to each other? But more importantly, how do we engage in that? I think the one thing millennials and Gen Zs see differently is this idea of the need to find meaning in work. Go to the day for an 8 to 5 job, you post it, an hourly kid, coming out there, you just showed up to work 40 hours a week, you came home. If that's your strategy to attract your next workforce, you're not going to be getting those people, those companies out there who are doing different ways to define purpose in their work is going to be what's attracting that workforce. Also, if you stuff behind the achievement orientation or the achievement oriented. I'm not talking about they need a participation trophy. In fact, that's one of the biggest myths. The older generations are the ones that need the participation trophy. It's the parents of those kids, which is the older generation, that said, I want my kid to have that trophy. So don't say, oh, it's that millennial who just needs to be congratulated all the time. It was the parents who put that in place. But I think one of those things is they want to be achievement oriented in a way where they feel that they're giving to something greater than just the daily job that they're doing. And I think when I look at some great companies out there that do a phenomenal job, or like SpaceX, which just happens to be 20 miles north of here, there is an achievement-oriented goal beyond just what their daily job is. They want to land on Mars. And everything that they do is to get to that larger goal. How are you as a manufacturer sharing what your goal is, and how are they, as your workers of younger generations, helping achieve that goal? And then the other thing as well we gotta remember is the younger generations are a highly educated generation. The fact that millennials have a higher percentage of people with a 4-year or a 6-year or a 2-year degree than any other generation before us right now. So they understand what it looks like to put in education and what it looks like to learn. So how can you then use these, I guess you could say, meetings that millennials and Gen Zs have to further advance your workforce? So, maybe go back to the outside really quickly because I saw a lot of cameras. Does anyone still need a photo of this? We're going to keep it up for a few more seconds. I think everyone that needed a photo got a photo. The next slide's also going to photograph once we build it out. So let's jump ahead again. Dre just went over a lot of really important points about the upcoming generations, Gen Z and millennials right now. Let's talk about what the actions are around this. So the first one is communicate purpose, right? Jake, you remember interviewing a recruiter not too long ago on one of our shows. Notice a lot of the exact same things Jake was saying, right? It's no longer about just presenting, hey, this job description, this is how much it pays. It's about explicitly communicating the purpose that goes with it, whether it's something that's very, in the sky, pun intended, like SpaceX, as you said, or it's something along the lines of, hey, this is how what we do impacts sustainability, or this is how this actually results in results for our customers. This is how it impacts your daily life when this product comes off the assembly line. So communicating that purpose. Second is adapting to their way of life. I don't want to be very clear, this is a two-way street. What do we mean by this is communication style. How do millennials and Gen Z communicate? Quick text messages, things along those lines. So as much Jake and I both fall into the millennial category as well, communicating with other generations the way they want to be communicated with as well, but making sure that message is getting transmitted the way that a millennial or a Gen Z will pick it up. I mean, for full context, I think I run a podcast, and the whole reason I started that was I moved from Houston, Texas to San Francisco, California, where I was calling on a much younger crowd of decision makers, and I needed digital content to reach them. So there's a way of communication, and digital content as well, I think is extremely important. When you look at younger generations, when we have a problem out there, we want to learn how to fix that problem. I was talking with a couple of people in the audience before. If we have like an error pop up on a PLC or a robot, what do? We immediately go to YouTube. We don't put out a manual anymore to try and find what the error looks like. It's a different process in how we're solving problems. I remember when my dad first teach me how to change calipers in a car, he would open up an AutoZone booklet, and he would go to the back, look at the appendix, look at the calipers, go to page 47, find all those pictures that were black and white that, had some, a 10-word description on how to, change the caliper, whereas I can go on YouTube, type in the exact car that I have and say, how do I do this? And here's this video instruction teaching you how to address this problem. How are manufacturers enabling their workforce to be able to address issues on the fly and make decisions through digital solutions and content? If you're still in a manufacturing floor and you're setting up work instructions for a job or a changeover, and your process is pulling a 3-ring binder off of a shelf that Who knows? Bob was a maintenance guy there 40 years ago. And they made an announcement there saying, well, hey, make sure you actually hook the one wire up to this pin instead of this pin, and have a Sharpie up there cross off 3 and, number 4. Is that how you're doing a process? And is that going to attract your national workforce to say, wow, this hasn't been updated in 40 years. They're not investing in new technology. Why are they going to invest in me if they're really going to do the needs of that? What are you using on your phone now to enable your workforce to learn those instructions? Absolutely not sure is investing in their future. What we mean by that is thinking beyond the existing job there is today. We talked about the workforce shortage a lot today. The reality is, when you come into a manufacturing job, let's say you're starting off as a controls engineer, a technician. Jake and I both come from the automation world, right? You want to set up such that, let's say this next generation millennial and Gen Zs know that there's ways to move through their career beyond the job that currently exists today. So we're talking a little bit about technology on the next line of the roadmap. Jake, anything to add before I think that's the average adult in America who is graduating from colleges graduates with $35,000 in student debt. Going to college 4 years, $35,000. If you as a profession or you as a company were going out there and saying, we're going to invest in your future, actually in high school, and we're going to help develop a curriculum for you and build the skill sets for you, and you need to go to a 4-year college to gain the skills. How attractive is that as a company to say you don't need to put yourself in financial risk? We're not going to buy a house until you're 42 years old because you're still paying off student debt. What are those opportunities that you're getting? You're impacting them beyond just that typical weekly or bi-weekly paycheck that you're paying them, saying we're impacting the future of your own personal career, and that's how you're investing in the future. And then if you're going to college, what are you doing to continue to invest in their skills? We know slide earlier talking about what the ideal workforce or what the ideal skills are going to be. Are you training your future workers to the skills that you're going to need 5 years from now? If your goal is to automate with new automation, robotics, and vision systems, are you currently training your employees that are working for you right now with those skills? Are you investing in their future so they have more skills, they have more knowledge, and at the same time, you're as a company, you're reducing your risk by having automation? And if you've been talking to you last so far, we're going to show some really cool technology coming up, but I wanted to define some terms first, and one thing that you are both equally passionate about is getting past a lot of buzzwords and getting into what they really mean for manufacturing, right? So, I mean, the question is, everyone has heard of Industry 4.0, right? Or a good, solid group. So, Industry 4.0, let's go over a quick timeline of where this term comes from and why it's so important to manufacturing right now. So, when you hear Industry 4.0, we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. First industrial revolution was the first industrial revolution, right? Steam powered. Second industrial revolution being the introduction of the assembly line and electrical power. Third industrial revolution, that's when we start to automate, right? That's the onset of robotics, PLCs. And the fourth industrial revolution, which is where we are today, is the smart factory. Like you have autonomous systems, you're leveraging different networks, Wi-Fi to communicate, so that way you can do things not only within the four walls of the facility, but you can be connected to your facility outside of that. And the point is, how do you connect the manufacturing, the automation to the people? That's one of those biggest things that we're still facing is when we have all this data and all this analytics out there for machines running, how is that achievable and actionable by your workforce? Preventive maintenance and condition monitoring. Look at all this stuff out here. I think it's a great summary if you guys want to take a photo of this. Like the 9 main solutions and what Industry 4.0 is, everything from autonomous robots and simulation, systems integration, this idea of IoT, right? We're now able to connect a motor and look at the temperature and the vibration that's running on a conveyor system and bring that right up to our cloud. So that my phone right now could look at several machines that are all spread throughout the U.S. and know, is that machine running right now? What's the temperature of that? Oh, is that likely going to fail if I see a peak in vibration or temperature over time? It's the idea of accessing more information and having a manufacturing cloud computing, but these are all different solutions that are out there that are enabling and empowering manufacturers on this new technology, not only to make them more competitive, but also to attract a future workforce, right? Manufacturing is this awesome topic. I have multiple 3D printers at my house. In fact, last year, there were 26 million 3D printers sold in the US to homes. That's how massive of an industry that this is. So if we as a manufacturer can say, hey, here's what these younger generations that are excited about new technology, what are you using to then take that excitement and bring it to your workforce? We've been talking a lot of stuff for the technology, so we got a couple demos to get to see as we go. Just to really illustrate everything that we just talked about. So the first video of this is called Projected Augmented Reality, where before we get to wear a lot of glasses, and that's what you thought it was, where here is light being projected down on top of a work surface that guides the operator through a manual task, a manual inspection, manual assembly. But not only is this guided process, it's also teaching a worker how to be trained through this process. So imagine you constantly have 40 or 50 or 60 different products that you're running. And you just simply set up a program and you tell the operator, okay, this is how you're going to manually assemble this process, or this is how you're going to be inspecting this process. Allowing this worker to be working alongside a system doing more on top of that, it'll help you to have gamification. And if you have a worker interacting directly with technology, you can keep track of how long it take that operator, that worker to inspect that part or to assemble that part. That would mean that the average, how long did it take the 5 other workers that are running doing the exact same thing to do that? Who's a high person? Who's a low person? You want to get more information on how to improve your manufacturing process. That's something we didn't talk about earlier. That's a high priority for millennials and Gen Z, right? And if you don't have the energy to go snowboarding or hiking on the weekend, that's going to impact someone's interest in working for you. That's why things like exoskeletons and scanners that you can have on your wrist, let's say wearables in general, have become so important in manufacturing, right? It's about making sure that these jobs aren't dangerous anymore. This isn't something that's going to wear on you over time. You're going to have tools that allow you to do your job in a safe, ergonomic fashion as well. Or things like grip assist gloves, which are going to come up next. I've used these before, they're pretty cool. It's a glove that actually allows you, let's say you have a job where you're picking and placing all day, right? You actually have grip assist gloves where you're able to grab a piece of equipment, assist you with that grip, and then you can move it without using that same amount of energy, right? You see it right here. I know I've overused this throughout the presentation, but I pull out my phone a lot. Because a lot of these things are connected to the phone. You can adjust the level of grip that it provides as you leverage a solution like this. So you can say, hey, I need more grip for a heavier object, I need less for this. Running an app like that. So again, going back to adapting to the way of life that millennials and Gen Z are used to. We grew up with our phones, right? Like, this is a tool that allows us to say, hey, I can do my manufacturing job the same way that I jump on Instagram in the middle of the day. I think it's one of those things too, when you look at manufacturing, a lot of processes of manufacturing are still going to be manual processes that have to have workers and operators doing those. But how can you enable that job to be easier on that worker? And that's the benefit of what we're looking at. If you're not having such a retention problem in the workforce where people are not staying because that job is just putting tremendous, either it's boring or it's one of those things that it's deteriorating their body, they're not going to want to stay. Well, if you have leverage automation to do things like that, that's really cool. Another solution right now, there's currently 550,000 welders in the United States. And I think that's the time where the average age of a welder is. Anyone? So the average age of a welder in the United States right now is 55 years old. So in 10 years, you're going to be losing over half of your workforce to retiring who is a skilled welder. So solutions like this, in this case, we're looking at a autonomous or collaborative robot that allows you to set points, and those points are automatically determine where the weld positions of weld seams are going to be in a robot, right? So we can take a worker who might not be fully skilled in welding, but they know I need to weld these points here. I think that's one of the things is say I need all point 1 to point 2, point 3 to point 4, point 4 to point 5, and then a robotic system will automatically handle those ones for you. And that might not be huge for large applications where you're doing tens of thousands of parts over and over again. You're going to be using a standard, probably industrial robotic system that's already out there. Well, we only have 50 parts to do. Well, here's an opportunity for you for you to run a lower speed or a lower volume, higher SKU variation of parts if you're a manufacturer in the metal industry. Cool. Packages delivered to our house more so than ever over the past 2 years, right? With the onset of machine learning, machines can now differentiate between different packages, so they can sort packages, whether it's a flat envelope, a larger package, and get the message in the right direction. So this is a robot doing that type of application. But the important thing I'm going to point out here actually has nothing to do with the robot, right? You see people running around these applications. Now, the misperception is that robots are taking our jobs, right? And the reality is that is so far from the truth when we can't even fill all the open jobs that are opening up right now. What robots really do is they create higher level work for the people that were once doing those pick and place jobs, right? Kind of along what I was saying before. You're not going to be picking and placing that part forever. Actually, you're going to be the individual that's trying to figure out, hey, how can we automate this further? What are the things that we can do to make these robots more collaborative? What's the right application for automation? What's not the right application for automation? So there's a huge human element that plays into this as well. The application is the Memphis facility, after FedEx location as a Memphis facility, and that does a job that only happens between 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. every day. Where they have what we call these highly powered badger envelope, where they have these 2 to 3 million of them, and they're having a really hard time wanting people to come in at 2 a.m. to come out of work to literally take a package, isolate it, and throw it up to their company. Who come in at 2 a.m. and do this? So one of those things is FedEx realized they need to automate and use the solution. What's really cool about this is we feel that a lot of robotics in the industry, robots have been around for decades. But what's really cool here is these robots are now collaborating and working alongside what we call deep learning or AI. So they have the ability to pick parts that are really oriented and come in random packages. Like I like to call it an A bag where that way to be moved and differentiated anywhere that product. So how does the solution be dynamic enough to allow you to adapt to that to pick it? That's where we're seeing a lot of advancements in robotics and technology is robots can now make these decisions automatically without the need for an operator. And as Chris said, we have these workers out there that are called crew chiefs. And this is a system that allows the where if that system doesn't know what to pick next, they send a notification out of an app to a worker and say, hey, we're at work, we're at cell number 4 right now. What's the next package we should pick? Option 1, option 2, option 3, and then the human can finally give that last opportunity to say, this is the role I needed, this is the package you need to pick, now continue that process. So that's great too as well. The other thing that's cool about the people behind these processes, we see this not only affected by other companies as well. We've got a number of friends over there. But it's people that have been in the world of docs to start their career, right? These are people that have moved up the ranks at FedEx that are now in charge of these type of applications. So if you're looking for proof that hey, these things are job creators rather than job takers, it's a perfect example of where the people that now are the brains behind these processes are the people that have seen it going for years and decades. This is a really cool one as well. This is a software called Mimic. So you can see the operator is really holding a teach pendant. And then the robot on the other side is mimicking that worker's movements. So before, the only way to teach a robot was to pick up a controller and use this language that was 30 years old. Now we have the opportunity for a robot to say, an operator to say, hey, robot, follow my path. Either if it's painting, it's sanding, if it's doing an assembly process, and you can teach the robot to do these step-by-step operations in a very simplified way. And that's how the technology is enabling these new workers who have the same skill sets that are needed, but they're not allowing technology to leverage and multiply their skills. So, this is called management. I think what we talk about is we talk about what's solutions, but what's next. We're both big proponents on it, developing a workforce locally. So our question for you is if you're a manufacturer, a lot of times you're not going to be drawing your talent from 100, 500, or 1,000 miles away. You're going to be pulling your talent locally. So what are you doing to engage locally with your talent? Either it's at the high school, if it's at the community college, if it's at the trade schools. Your future employees are local, so you need to be investing locally before they even start working for your company or start the interviewing process. First Robotics is this massive program out there that has millions of students involved with that are getting kids excited about science, technology, engineering, and math. If you're a manufacturer, what are you doing to get that program started at that local high school? Or if that exists, what are you doing to have your engineers invest in these kids' futures? Right? Because if that kid grows up, in fact, I'm a example of this. I ended up working for the companies that were sponsors for me when I was in high school. So there was a company called Jet Automation. They're a big machine builder out there. They were a sponsor of my first robotics team when I was in ninth grade. I ended up working for them when I graduated and had an ability because they impacted my future career. If they're impacting you at that age, they're going to be continuing to impact you down the road. The other thing as well is build your company in content, master attraction, digital, identify, site, and ignite their future. One of the questions I always ask is I always like to do the bathroom check. If you walk onto your manufacturing floor and you walk into that bathroom on that floor, what does that say about your company? I think that's the biggest thing, right? If you walk into a Tesla or a SpaceX manufacturing floor, or you walk into a different manufacturing and you look at the bathroom, what does that say about your current thought process of how you treat your employees? What are you doing to push your career forward, as we talked about earlier? What are you doing to advance just besides our 8 to 5 task? That they're going to have that 8 to 5 job at your place 5 years from now. Is their job something that they would share? I think it's the biggest thing, right? When we're sitting down and we're having friends or, we're having a discussion with our family, and they say, what did you do today? Is this something that you want to talk about? Is that, I worked on a bunch of robots, and we're doing this really cool assembly process using a vision system and automation, or it's one of those things where, well, I just sat and I go work and all day and put parts together. What's more exciting to your employees? And how are you using automation to empower their future? And that's the other big thing, and one of the takeaways that I want to do. Automation is not designed to replace people, it's designed to enable people. How are you enabling your workforce with automation? Now we're going to get into this topic in a bit more depth tomorrow. We give a general overview of, hey, what's possible in manufacturing? What are the things that will attract the next generation? But the real thing we need to talk about too is what are the things you need to do to really get started on that journey to know, hey, what technology do I implement first? How do I prioritize the challenges and where can automation, robotics be a solution? Now we're going to talk about this more in depth tomorrow at Industry 5.0 workshop with our friend Conrad over here. And if you want to connect with us, we're going to have some time for Q&A. I believe a little bit of time for Q&A here at the end. Jake will be around here all day today and tomorrow. We'll see you at the happy hours, the booth crawls. We're open to having these conversations all the time, right? We love doing this. That's why we come up on stage and try to make this conversational. So we're excited to hear what you have to share as well. One way to do it now is take out your cell phone, do the digital enablement, take a picture of these photos. The one on the left is mine, the one on the right is Chris. Connect with us on LinkedIn. This is where you can reach us. This is the way that we're able to share a lot more information and what we consider the new technology that's out there. So take a picture of that. Find us on LinkedIn, reach out to us. Our email's down below, or you can also visit us at mfgchamps.com. All right, that's the presentation. I really appreciate it. I think we have about 10 minutes for Q&A. Any questions at all that you guys have that Chris and I can answer? You can have a third mic as well, or you can just speak really loudly. No, Joshua in the back has a mic for anyone with questions. No questions at all. You can go over here, okay? Can you elaborate on the question about bathrooms? I mean, I didn't follow what you were saying. What was Well, okay, so when I think about it, it's like, I think it showcases the type of culture you have there, right? Is the bathroom a mess? Is it clean? Like, it's I've heard it used before, right? And ironically, I've seen it go awry when you have a bunch of contractors on site for maintenance day before it might not be reflected. But aside from that example, right, it's one of those little things that say, hey, how much do employees care about this place at work, right? I would say the break room kitchen, same simple type of test, right? Do you think we're down in terms of that, right? That's a great summary. Yeah, automation, all the technology. If the bathroom's a mess, the automation and the systems are a mess. Yeah, I think it's a culture example. How are you willing to invest in your employees? You know, I've been on factory floors that when the doors are ripped off the stalls. You know, if a manufacturer is not willing to make in the bathroom a comfortable place for a worker to do business, you know, what are they going to be doing on the floor? You know, and that's where if you're not investing in that manner, how are you investing in their future with technology and empowerment and purpose in their future? And I think those 3 and 4 Ds, they can certainly be a sign if the place is going to be dirty or dangerous. If you see that there. Good question. Any other ones? Already appreciate your time. We're going to be out here afterwards if there's any other questions or comments that you want to have. Yeah, I hope you can join us tomorrow. We also have a live podcast that we're going to be doing today at 3 p.m. at both 3997 with Fed North America. Yep, newsroom is out on the show floor. And have a great rest of the time. Your show is just getting started. So thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us. Really appreciate it.